Hey guys, welcome back to Read Instead. I'm Jake. Glad to have you here today. Today we're talking about Fonda Lee's The Green Bone Saga, one of my favorite fantasy trilogies of all time. Check it out. Okay, so for all of my hardcore fantasy fans out there maybe watching this video, I will freely admit to you that I'm not the most prolific fantasy reader that you'll find, but I do feel as though I've read enough and I'm aware of enough that there are some sort of common tropes and storylines and settings that are pretty recurring when it relates to fantasy and that genre. One in particular is that a lot of fantasy, I think, takes place with sort of a similar technology, a similar setting that we would find in this real life, this real world, back in the Middle Ages, 1,000 years ago or so. In other words, a lot of fantasy, the extent of their technology is like swords and horses, horseback and shields and kings and kingdoms. It mimics that sort of setting. So having said that, one of the reasons why I just love this trilogy is, for me anyway, it's just so stinking original. It's so original. I want you guys to picture this. Think of 1960s America or 1960s in the West with that level of technology. So you have phones, but you don't have cell phones. You have cars and vehicles, but you don't have cars that maybe run on electricity and that can go, 150 miles an hour. Things like that. On top of that, the combat that takes place in these novels, not like medieval. We're talking, think of The Matrix. That's what's so cool about it. It's like martial arts on steroids, or better yet, on jade. And I'll get to that in a minute. But the fight scenes in this are so cool. The blades and the weapons that they use, it really is like The Matrix, because they have the understanding of martial arts and the ability to do that kind of combat, but because of something, a major plot line in these novels, they are advanced and they're enhanced. I just wanted to give you that sort of, just paint that picture a little bit for you. That's sort of the setting and the world in which you'll dive into if you dive into the series. But let's talk about the story. Okay, so this story has to do with jade. Jade is found on an island, and that island is named Kikon. And this takes place in the world that Fonda Lee invented, created. And this is a small island, and in some ways very primitive and sort of tied to their culture, tied to their traditional ways of the past. In some ways, they're not as advanced as the rest of the world. They're pretty isolated too, the Kikonese people on this island of Kikon. But one thing that is very specific to Kikon, and more importantly the Kikonese people, is jade. What is jade? Jade is a natural resource that's only found on the island of Kikon. And this natural resource works with only the Kikonese people, that kind of DNA, that ethnicity, that race of people, if you will. This jade, combined with the Kikonese people, gives them enhanced abilities. And these enhanced abilities can be applied to fighting and also other things too, but mainly we see that it applies to their combat and their use of combat. Now, on the islands of Kikon, there are plenty of things going on. You have sort of multiple families that control different areas of the cities and towns throughout Kikon. Think of sort of the Italian mob. This series, and I'm not the only YouTuber who will make this comparison, is very Godfather-esque, with different families that have different turf, and they oversee different portions of Kikon, and one family sort of has control of the ports, another family has control of the deli market downtown, whatever. I mean, it goes on and on. But these families control, certain areas, and these people that work in these areas, some are just hardworking regular people who respect and pay homage to these families. Some are, gang members. There are smaller gang factions and stuff like that who oftentimes come into conflict with these families, and the families will need to sort of exercise their power. And of course, with these families that control different parts of Kikon, there comes conflict between them. So a huge aspect of this series is family and the devotion to family and the loyalty to family. And really the whole series centers around a particular family with a history, with a patriarch, a matriarch, children, a sister, two brothers, and they have families and spouses and fiancés and all these things. And they're just trying to get by, and they're trying to maintain the prosperity of their family. They come under attack in a lot of ways. It's beautiful. Each one of the three siblings, the children in this family, although they are adults and they sort of have their own kids and things like that, but the children, the sister and two brothers that this series mainly focuses on are all very distinct, and they have their own distinct personalities, and they have their own responsibilities too within the family and within the organization of the family. Fonda Lee, although she writes great fight scenes and she has great original ideas, some of the most poignant and my favorite things that I remember about this series is those alone times where you find yourself in a room with just two of the siblings, and they're having a very intimate and dramatic conversation. As the series goes on, what happens is that the rest of the world starts to figure out that they can utilize the jade themselves, although they don't have that genetic connection to it, and otherwise throughout all of history it's been rendered useless to them. They have figured out through sort of scientific means that they can indeed utilize jade. So this puts Kikon on the map to be taken advantage of in many ways. And as the series continues, that sort of battle against the rest of the world and that battle against the politics of the rest of the world just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So in Jade City, book number 1 in this series, it's on a much smaller scale. It's mainly restricted to Kikon, and you get to know the families in and around Kikon, the different characters all throughout the families, and the story of Jade just continues to grow from there. So again, so many cool and fun aspects of this series. The characters, the dialogue. Fonda Lee writes excellent dialogue. Again, the originality of the premise, the story of Jade itself, just awesome. I would encourage you guys, even if you're not a real fantasy fan, just pick up Jade City and try to read the first quarter of the novel. And if you're not hooked, then maybe it's just not the series for you. But I remember reading Jade City, and once I started uncovering the storyline and the story of Jade and the characters, again, the fight scenes, it was just awesome. I really enjoyed it. So that's going to be it for today, guys. This series review. The series is called the Greenbone Saga. Why are they called the Greenbones, by the way? They're called the Greenbones because the warriors that have connected with Jade and use it to enhance their abilities, they wear it. They wear it as bracelets. They wear it as necklaces. They wear it as rings, eyebrow rings, and earrings, and all different sort of stylistic ways. It's pretty cool. And those people are called Greenbone warriors. So the title of this series, this trilogy as a whole, is called the Greenbone Saga, and I would highly encourage you guys to check it out. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.